He's one for mate.
And he stuck it right up them. That's what you did.
Yeah.
We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
And just like that, we are back. Episode number 15 of 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm your host, Taylor Stone, back in action. Big few episodes for the last few. We are flying in 2022. It's been a while since I've done a tale of the tape, but very fitting for this man. 25-year-old boxer, professional out of Australia, who has put the Aussie boxing scene on notice in recent times. 12 wins and 1 loss, 10 wins by knockout in boxing, but also dabbled in mixed martial arts with a record of 9 wins and 1 loss. Coming straight out of Queensland, very outspoken. Did I fuck that up? 9-0. Well, then I've got 9-0. There you go. I knew I had a feeling I might fucking ruin that. 9-0. There you go. Even better. Coming straight out of Queensland. Very outspoken, confident, talented fighter. The none other than the Issac Hardman himself. So thank you for coming on, brother. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having me, mate. It's the first chat since the fight, since the wedding. So it's good. Real good.
Like we discussed before, you've just come off the back of a wedding, which is unbelievable. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, it was something else, mate. Far out. Nothing will outdo that day. I think, I said to my now wife, it's crazy for me to say, the feeling of winning a professional fight, be it MMA or boxing, that feeling is like no other, but seeing her walk down the aisle trumped everything. So that feeling was like nothing else. And yeah, I get emotional now just thinking about it. Like it was something else.
No, I think that's absolutely incredible. Yeah, I'm not quite there yet, but at some stage I'll probably get it done. But
unreal.
And look, Issac the Headsplitter Hardman. Now I love this nickname. It's one of the better ones floating around. I personally want to go with the Bone Crusher, but I haven't crushed any bones yet. But who gave you the Headsplitter nickname? Is that self-appointed, or did someone give you that while you were coming up the ranks?
Well, it turns out a story got told at my wedding. One of my oldest, bestest mates, he was off the script. He wasn't meant to be doing a speech, but he said, I want to tell everyone the story of the head splitter, which was news to me because I thought I got it from one of the boys playing footy, going in head first and busting the kid's head open. But he tells the story that I put my head through a fence at an open house party when I was 16 years old, and everyone was like, head splitter, and I cut my fucking shit. So apparently that's the story of the head splitter, and I was pretty buckled that night. So let's go with that story. Let's go with that story. It seems like a good one.
That's better. I rate that.
Yeah. He was saying that, I thought, fuck, what's going to go on here? What's he going to say? And then he told the story of the head splitter and it got a good laugh. So we'll go with that story.
I've probably gone through a few fences back in the day in my time. So I'm going to call it, that's why I'm the Bone Crusher, I reckon.
Yeah, there we go.
Look, before we dig a little bit deeper into boxing and sort of give the listeners a bit of a background on yourself, I guess what they probably don't know, I know in recent times you've been all over the news and in the Facebook feed, and there's been lots of articles about what's happened with the last fight, but you had your start in mixed martial arts. Did you have any amateur MMA fights, or did you just go straight into the pros? I know some guys just jump straight into pro fights.
No, I had 3 amateur MMA fights. I won, 3 amateur. I won 2, lost 1. And then I had an exhibition fight because I was a part of a TV show called The Crew with Richie Vass, Mark Matthews, and Kid Mac. They're like the Bra Boy guys. They had a TV show back in the day on Field TV about their come up. And I was one of the contestants on that. There was each guy, Mark Matthews, Richie Vass, and Kid Mac, mentored 3 young talents in the respected careers. And Richie Vass mentored me and 3 other fighters. And one of the other boys was Jamie Malaki, who's now in the UFC. And we made it all the way to the end. And to decide the winner of that show in the MMA bit, I had to fight Jamie Malaki on AFC as an exhibition fight. And he choked me unconscious in the first round. So that was, I guess, 4 amateur MMA fights, really. And then I jumped into the pros after that.
And were you pretty set on making that, turning that into a career from there? Was that did you have your heart set on, I want to be an MMA fighter, I want to make it to the big time?
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt, that was my plan, is to be a UFC fighter. Back in this was like 2014, 2015. The Anzac MMA scene wasn't as hot as it is now, and the plan was to be in the UFC young and early and become the first Australian, lightweight UFC champion. Didn't work out like that, but I was dead set on being in the UFC for sure. I grew up on Fuel TV's, the Ultimate Fighter series, 1 through to 10, when it was all Diego Sanchez and all those guys. So for sure, man, I love the MMA. But it just didn't turn out like that.
And did the UFC, I mean, I know you spoke about just being on the show, and being amongst those guys probably helps, being Richie Vassett already done what he'd done in the scene, and being on the TVs, being on that show is probably giving you that platform to get to the next level. Why did you not end up getting the UFC contract or keep pushing for that? Was there any particular moment that stopped that?
Well, off that show, because I wasn't a professional MMA fighter just yet, and I fought Jamie Mullarkey. And at the time, Jamie Mullarkey was 7-0 as a professional, and he was like the one. And then he fought Alex Volkanovski on AFC. It was a big knockout. He got a big knockout. Got knocked out pretty badly. But he was the hottest guy at the time. And I wasn't a professional, so I was trying to get it. I wanted to have another amateur MMA fight because I needed to learn a bit more, because I got exposed a little bit with my ground game. But no one would take a fight with me because they see it on. They went on to Tapology for quite some time. Like, I fought Jamie Mullarkey, and people would go, "Oh yeah, fight Isaac. He fought Jamie Mullarkey it looked like a pro fight on Sherdog." Which it wasn't, but I just couldn't get another amateur MMA fight, so I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna have to go pro now. So I went pro on a Hex Fight series, knocked the guy out in the first fucking 22 seconds, second, third, all the way through to the sixth fight. I was getting stoppages, and then I got all the way to 9-0, and I had a guy named Reese Delchin in the gym. He flew in from somewhere at the time. He told me he was managing Alex Volkanovski. He said, I just need one more win, who I was scheduled to fight BJ Bland and defend my XFC title, because I had the AFC title. I won it in China against James Bishop, who was a training partner, Kieran Joblin. Then I went and won the XFC title against Kieran Joblin. And then my next fight, I stopped Rob Hill in the second round as well. So my fight going into the UFC, we have got emails from Adrian Pang, was my MMA coach. Sean Shelby's messaging him saying, "Is Isaac good to go? Is Isaac good to go?" And then I was meant to fight BJ Bland, and 2 weeks before that fight, I went out and played touch footy with one of my clients from work as PT, and I thought I was just going to treat it like a sprint session. A little bit of fun. And I've played football all my life, tackle footy growing up. So I thought, there's no way I'm going to get hurt playing touch footy. And the first touch of the ball, I ruptured my ACL. I didn't know at the time, but I felt a pop, and it fully blew out, and that put me 10 months on the sideline. At that time, I was 19, 20 years old. My world come crashing down on me, because my plan was to be in the UFC, and they told me I'd done this, and 10 months out. So, yeah, man, that's why coming back, the plan was still to be in the UFC and fight MMA. I happened to take a late notice boxing fight, which was my third professional boxing fight, because I had 2 in the midst of my MMA career. Didn't care about them. I fought on Paul Gallen for a bloke named John Hopewadi on pay-per-view. I was on that card, and a guy, my promoter now, his name's Dean Lonergan, was there, and he seen me, and I knocked this guy in the first 40 seconds, and he liked the way I went about it, the energy I brought to the ring, and he come and had a meeting with me and my coaches. And the thing he said to me is, if you want to earn $50,000, go fight in the UFC. You want to earn millions, come box with me. So I thought, fuck, I want to do something.
It's a pretty enticing call,
fighting people.
Yeah.
Fighting people, and then I want to get paid accordingly. So I signed a boxing contract.
It's probably, could almost see it as
I can't hear you, brother. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, not really.
Can you hear that?
Oh, very faintly.
Very faintly?
Hold on, I'll see
How
if I can
about
put it
now?
on. Go again?
Yeah, you there?
Oh, there we go, brother.
There we go. No, you're up. You're up. Yeah, I mean, look, it could be the silver lining or blessing in disguise, really, that gets you into the game. And as bad as an ACL rupture is, I know we see a lot of them where I work as a strength and conditioning coach. We've got so many footy guys' careers, they're towing the line at under 18s, and they get an ACL rupture, and it's their last opportunity, and it can be devastating. But for you
really.
walking into another sport is huge, and obviously in the same umbrella. What we're seeing now is a lot of MMA guys going into boxing and vice versa. But I think more so now, especially on the cards that you've been fighting on, there's a couple guys coming straight from the MMA scene, having their first debuts. It was the other night. There was a couple blokes, or maybe one or two. And what's that difference between? Obviously, they're two different sports. There's a lot more going on in mixed martial arts, but how's that how's that transition between both of them? Because it hasn't always worked for you. It has, but you know, a lot of the times it kind of doesn't.
I think for me, the biggest thing was my MMA style was very like boxing dominant. I was very heavy on the boxing. I shot for one takedown in my non-professional fights. Got taken down once by Kieran Joblin, who at the time was the best in Anzac MMA in the lightweight division. So I was very like almost terrified of being on my back and being humped for 5 minutes. So I wanted to keep it on the feet. So my transition to boxing was very seamless, and it was just almost less things to worry about, you know, in the boxing ring. You know, like you said, there's so much more going on in MMA. There's so many ways to win, so many ways to lose. And it was always a struggle for my coach to keep me in the gym to do my jiu-jitsu. You know, I love wrestling. I love a scramble. There's nothing better than scrambling and up and down, but I hate sitting there and being patient with jiu-jitsu. So the transition to boxing for me was very easy and almost better. You know, I like the training more because I just get to punch on constantly. It was good for me, really good for me.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is a funny one. You as much as you want to go balls to the wall, you can't, because you know you're going to fuck yourself over. So you really have to play the slow game and wait. So I understand there. And the boxing's obviously a lot more fast paced, a lot less for you to worry about. You can start to throw your hands around and get what you want, which is probably the knockout.
Yeah, for sure.
Most guys have a pretty big amateur career in boxing that have come in, and you fought Zerafa who'd done that. And there's other massive guys, like there's so many of them have had, anywhere between 50 to 80 to 100 amateur fights and then come in. Did you find that was ever a disadvantage to you walking into pro boxing? Because there has been guys like Bill Arkway, obviously, he's another Sydney guy who hadn't had any amateur fights, and there's been a couple, but how did you feel knowing that there's these guys with so much experience in the field before you walked into that ring?
The first two, the first guy I fought, Lucas Miller, he had a massive amateur career. The second one was winning Australian titles as an amateur at light heavyweight and stuff like that. I didn't really care. I didn't even dive into it. I just thought I took those fights on 4 days' notice. So I didn't worry about the amateur and stuff like that. And I always felt, but now progressing through boxing, I always feel like amateur boxing and professional boxing is almost two different sports. Yes, it's under that same umbrella, but the styles are completely different, I feel. So me not having a amateur boxing career, it doesn't really, worry me. I feel like it's a fight at the end of the day, and I fight well with the, background in MMA and whatnot. It's not a thing for me. Amateur boxing, I don't look down on it because it takes discipline and all that sort of stuff to do, and you can accomplish great things and see the world through amateur boxing. But fuck, this sport is so hard to do. I want to be paid for it, so there's no way. Even going back now, if I was to turn back the clock, I wouldn't do amateur boxing, and it's just not my style. I'd be a terrible amateur boxer. I'm just not that sort of style. So yeah, man, it's nothing to me. It wasn't a big deal fighting these guys that had 50 plus amateur boxing fights when I had none. My amateur boxing career was a one night tough man competition. I fought 4 guys in one night, stopped them all, and won $3,500. That was my amateur boxing career, and that's it.
I guess if you got the confidence to go in there and you're confident in your ability, then it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, for sure, man.
And I think with boxing, it's funny because these days it's actually fucking huge now. Like in terms of the public perception of it is massive. It's gotten so many more legs here in Australia with the different promotions and stuff. And it's like, for instance, I'll give it an example. Surfing, the greatest surfers, you look at the surfers and go, fuck, I could do that. But then that you really think they can't, you can't, because they make it look so seamless. Boxing's so similar where, we watch from the couch and we go like, fuck, he should have done this or he should have done that. But no one really understands the discipline and how much the technical aspect of the sport and how much goes into it to be prepared for something like that. So it's a credit to anyone in the professional ranks to make it look so seamless.
For sure, man, and that goes for MMA as well. Like that's why I refuse to go watch MMA at the pub. I still watch the MMA, the one on the weekend with, Chandler and Ferguson, all those guys fighting. But I will refuse to go to the pub and watch MMA fights. Just stand up and knock him out. Fuck, if I could just knock him out, I would, you silly bastard. But it's not that. So
definitely not that easy.
Hard sport, both of them. Anything to do with fighting another man in a fucking arena, it's hard. That's why there's only a very small percent of people that do it, and a big percent of people sit on the couch and watch.
It definitely takes grit and determination and ambition. So going back to your early days, like pre-fighting and stuff, like where you grew up and how you grew up and how you got into it, I guess something that I love to see and hear from, and the listeners also love to hear from, is people's journey into sport. What actually got you into combat sports in the first place?
Man, Chuck Liddell on YouTube.
The Iceman, another great nickname.
Yeah, I just discovered him. I used to watch, I was a massive footy kid, at my dad's house. It was footy every weekend. We played from as soon as I could pass the ball and run, I was playing footy. And then my dad sadly passed away in 2019. He was a professional boxer. And I had a really good connection with my mother. I got a twin brother who was touted as a mad boxer growing up. He always used to hit dad's hands like they were mitts. And my oldest brother lived with my dad while he was sick. So they had this unique sort of relationship with my old man, and I felt like I didn't. So I wanted to step out and be like, fuck, I want to do something my dad did that my brothers didn't, and sort of separate it. So I thought, fucking combat sports, and I love fighting and UFC. I thought, how can I do something that my dad did? And it turned out to be MMA. I walked into an MMA gym, and that's where I got my start in combat sports, really. I was straight into an MMA gym, got my ass handed to me. And then I just went back and refused to leave until I was getting better and better and better. And then I started fighting and started doing well, and realized, fuck, I'm good at this, I can fight, and it turned into as a young kid, 19, I think I had my first fight. I thought, fucking nothing better than the thought of fighting in front of thousands of people, taking photos and screaming your name and knocking someone out. Previous to that, it was running down the sideline, winning scoring the winning try in the grand final, and then kicking my own conversion. I always wanted to have eyes on me and perform. So, yeah, man, I said, fucking let's do it. Combat sports it is.
That's it. Straight into the deep end. Did you have that? Where do you stand with? Because early days, not everyone's got the. When you're a young kid, you walk into a brand new gym. You don't know anyone. You don't know anything. Or when you're a bit older, whatever, you might have ego, and you go in and you get humbled. What was that experience like for you to walk in? Because I think another famous quote Mike Tyson said, it's not a tough man's sport. It's a thinking man's game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. At the time when I first walked into the MMA gym, we were 3 weeks out from winning the grand final when I was playing for Caboolture Snakes, and we were in the grand final. They won that year. The day I went to the gym, I was fucking terrified. Caught the train from Caboolture all the way up to Geebung, got off, rode my bike there, terrified, and got my ass handed to me. I always was going through high school, everyone sort of knew my twin as could punch on, and I always had a few biffs at school and was sort of a bit of a tough guy in the footy team and stuff like that. Isaac, he can fight and stuff. So I always had that sort of, that aura about it, I guess. And then when I walked into this MMA gym with a gym full of people that knew how to fight, I sort of went in with a little bit of ego, I can fucking fight. I've had a few punch-ons at school and on the footy field, and I got whooped, and I just wanted to get it back. That's just in me, ingrained in me. I didn't want to leave there with my tail between my legs. I made sure I come back the next day. Still got whooped. I got whooped probably for about 3 or 4 months until, I won a round or an exchange. I thought, fuck, here we go. I'm getting better. And, that's where it come from, man. That's why.
It's definitely, it's funny because the sports are so heavily scrutinized, but I think that no one really, people don't pay attention from the outside world about how good it is to progress slowly at something and realize how far you've come and sort of, I don't know, get a bit darker with your training and realize that you can withstand certain things and you can face adversity and have overcome that stuff, whether it's in training or and it probably translates a little bit to the outside world as well.
For sure, man. Like my first time interaction with these guys, like, was MMA, and man, heaps of MMA guys I found are like you said, that quote, you know, it's not a tough man sport. They're like nerds. They love gaming and they're sort of geeky and, you know, they're just real quirky. I find all my experiences with gyms and stuff like that. So I thought, these guys are fucking nerds. I'm going to smash these blokes. I was a tough kabucha kid, you know, 18, 19 years old, and I got whooped and I just thought, fuck. What the hell? What's going on here? And that's why I kept coming back, because I couldn't have a nerd beating me up.
That's it. Yeah. Wedgies at school. That's about it.
Yeah.
Fast forward a little bit now, and you know, obviously you've accomplished so much already. And you know, what does a fight camp for yourself look like? I know you probably run sort of what 12 weeks, or is it a bit longer than that? And do you run this 10 weeks? Do you run the same? Is it the same process? Have you refined that now to something where, you know, right, this is the process I like and this is what works and we're going to stick to that? Or do you constantly evolve it?
Yeah, for sure. It's always changed. Oh, well, not changed. Essentially, like the skeleton of the fight camp is locked in stone now. And we've refined that over the now 12, 13 fights. But it's gone off a 10-week block. Sparring's two times a week, and I love that. Sprint 3-4 times a week. But like, I still work at my coach's gym in the mornings and stuff like that. You know, doing PT. So that's something we'll get better at as well, like managing the workload with holding pads PT wise. So I love being in the gym, and I'm very blessed to have nitro boxing because I'm not out concreting or laying bricks. I'm in there training people and with my best mates and my coach as well, all under the one roof, and I get to train and teach people how to box, and then I do my own training. But for sure, there's still going to be some refining some aspects of the training camp for sure. Not that I've had a bad one in fucking, you know, ever really. I haven't had a bad training camp. You know, the last one was the best one. It was just on the night got to me, my emotions got to me. But yeah, for sure, man. That's one thing I say at the end of each fight camp, we keep getting better, and probably goes back to the thing like not having an amateur boxing career, not having, you know, I've only been in the sport essentially since the start of 2019. You look on my box record, it says my first professional fight was 2017, but that was in the midst of my MMA career, so I didn't give a shit about it then. But I put all the eggs in the one basket at the start of 2019. So I've been boxing for going on 3.5 years now. So that's the thing. I'm only 26 in a couple of days. We're constantly getting better, and we'll get so much better. You know, even this loss now, I'm going to be so much better for that. And that's why wasn't even a bitter pill to swallow. We're getting the heat, but I'm still at like 60%, I feel.
There was a guy called Campbell Somerville who was on your card and he trains at the gym that I work at, doing his strength and conditioning stuff. And we went there to obviously see the fight, and he was on the card, so we were there to support him as well. And we're having this discussion about how, you know, when you're an amateur, you have you rely heavily on sponsors. And I think, you know, obviously there's some struggle there because you have to commit full time and you're trying to get to, let's just say, Commonwealth Games or Olympics or whatever. And as a professional, you're obviously getting paid, but it's a lot different in Australia than it is maybe overseas. How hard is it to balance your work and then professional boxing? And at what point are you able to try and switch that?
For me, I've been at Nitro Boxing for 7 years now, going on 8 this year. For me, it's been really good. I can't speak on it like too much with, you know, I know some people like Bam Bam Flanagan, he builds houses and fucking shit all day, and then he has to go, he's got kids as well, little kids. He got to go to the gym at 9 o'clock at night to get his session in, and then wake up at 4 to go build more fucking houses. So I can't really speak on that, balance my workload, because, man, I do 30-minute PT sessions. You know, back in the day when I was doing MMA, I used to do like 50 of them a week, 50 to 60, because I was young and I needed to earn more money, and that was like, you know, my driving thing. But it was always just all my training's done at Nitro Boxing in-house, you know. team trainers at 10 o'clock. All my PTs were, 5 o'clock in the morning through to 9. I have some breakfast, smash out an hour and a half session with my coach and the teammates, have a nap. I've got a bed down there. I have a nap in the gym. I don't worry about coming home in fight camp. And then I used to do a couple of sessions in the afternoon, train again. So for me, it wasn't too hard, now that it's coming to a position or sort of like a time in my career now where the pay of, boxing and sponsors will be able to fill that gap and not having to do 50 sessions a week. I've dropped them down to about 20 now. So hopefully from the last, fight purse, I'll be able to drop them down a little bit more and sort of just concentrate on getting a bit more rest in between sessions. Being around at home with my wife now, I want to have kids one day and sort of transition into that and become like a full-time fighter. I haven't been a full-time fighter ever, so I think hopefully on the next camp, that's what we can try and do, trying to navigate through and become a full-time fighter. But yeah, man, credit to the guys that go out and work 10 hours a day, then find time to do their professional workload as well, being a fighter, because that shit would be hard. They're better men than me for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And I always think about it, it would be a grind to be sitting there and having to go concreting and then have to go to train, whether that's once, twice a day, and you're in camp and all the extra stresses that come with life itself. It no doubt takes a toll at some point.
Yeah, for those amateurs too, credit to those guys. They're not even getting paid for their extra work they're doing to fight. They're just doing the amateur thing. So they're even better blokes. So it's hard yakka, man, and that's what people don't appreciate or don't see. They just see us on the night under the bright lights, everyone taking photos and wanting to be around us. But it's fucking hard, man. Not many people are cut out for it.
I know we touched on sort of about, grit and ambition and determination and sort of knowing where you want to go. And another one for yourself, which I think that most of the public would see, is that you're confident. And, obviously most fighters and all fighters should be confident in themselves. They're going to get in there. But is it something that you have built over time, or do you think that you've always had confidence in yourself, or do you think that you've, over your training and over the experience, you just know what you're about now?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I've been a confident person as a kid. I could always talk to someone. I always hung around older people, so I was always able to be in a crowd and talk. So that's where my confidence comes from. But one saying I heard years and years ago is, confidence breeds success, success breeds confidence. And that becomes like a snowball effect. The more confidence, the more success, the more success, the more confidence. And man, previous to the fight with Zerafa only a couple of weeks ago, I hadn't lost in 7 years. So I've been successful and I was just fucking building confidence. It's not even that this loss has put a dent in my confidence. I'm a confident person now. But for sure, man, I am just like a confident kid, and I believe in my ability. I believe in the training I do. That's another thing I get all my confidence from, is I know the work I do. I don't half-ass any session. And right before I walk out to a fight, I just think, fuck, I'll put in the work. I know that man has too, but I know there's no stone unturned in my fight camp. So that's where I get a lot of my confidence from.
Because touching on the Zerafa fight, and I wanted to get to that. You've obviously, you dust yourself off and move forward, and that's you have to be able to do that to survive in the game. It didn't go your way on the night. What sort of emotion are you feeling after such a big build up to a fight like that?
Man, honestly speaking, I've spoken to my wife about this now. My wife, it's so fucking cool to say that. Relief.
It's awesome.
Yeah, relief. I posted a video a day after the fight, and I was sitting out the back on the deck, and I thought, fuck, since I've been working at my gym and training people, and since I've known my wife now, all the people around me now in my circle, I've only ever known me to be a winner, winning fights. Everyone just thinks, Isaac's got another fight, he's going to win. I haven't lost in 7 years. And I was scared to lose, because the last time I lost, I ran away to Thailand for 2 months. I was wanting to run away from my problems. So I was worried first at how I would react to myself being a loser, how the people around me would react to me being a loser or losing. I thought my identity would change. I thought my world would come crashing down on me. Man, it really didn't, and nothing had changed at all. Fucking people have forgotten about the fight now, I just had the best day of my life 2 days ago, getting married to her. Yeah, man, it's the the feeling is almost a relief, you know, to take the first L and realize, fuck, the world's not over. Like, I can still box. I still got 2 arms and 2 legs. I'm healthy. I was at a gym on the Gold Coast and the guy sort of fucking hit the nail on the head. He goes, mate, you're 25 years old going on 26. There's kids down the road, you know, getting diagnosed with cancer and will die in 6 months. You know, I'm fucking living a good life, man, and I can still do what I want to do, which is box and fight and get paid for it. Just because I've got a loss in the one loss in a fucking little column on Box Track don't mean shit, man. All the best guys in the world lose. Like, Canelo's lost, fucking Muhammad Ali lost, Conor McGregor's lost. Everyone's lost, you know. It makes the story that much better. You know, what's life without a little bit of adversity?
That's it. It's what you do after that really counts.
That's it.
Did the press conference was obviously wild, and you end up punching on with each other, and it made a lot of news. It promoted the fight pretty well, and probably not like because that's the way you wanted it to go down, but that's the way that it happened.
Yeah.
You know, like I was watching, you know, you watched the press conference post interview of that, and you're obviously quite emotional and you know, that's quite a significant event just before you're about to step in the ring with him. Like, did you have to take that in the ring a little bit? Did that take some sort of effect on you when you walked in, or were you able to just shut that out and let that be?
Man, I pride myself on not being like taking anything into the ring but doing my job. And like I sit here now taking the loss and knowing what had went on. And I still think, fuck, in that moment, at that time, I thought, no, man, I'm not emotional. I'm not that type of guy, you know, like I'm an emotional guy at heart, you know, about other things. And you've seen that with like when he played the race card and all that sort of stuff. But man, yeah, I felt way too emotional, and that was my undoing, you know, for sure. And not that would have changed the fact, I don't know, man, you know, and it's just what it is. Like, I definitely did take a lot of emotion now sitting here and watching the way I fought. Yeah, I took way too much emotion into that. I had 12 rounds to box and I fucking didn't take a backward step. I was way too eager just to get in a fucking fight with that bloke. And, you know, whether or not, I know he does a lot of, you know, coaching with mental stuff, and whether or not they wanted to plant that seed at the press conference and say the race thing, no, my partner is, it's not hard to jump on social media and see that my partner's of colour and they play that card. I don't know, knowing I'm an emotional person, I'm not too sure, man. And that speaks of their character, not mine. I reacted the way I did and I won't fucking shy away from that. And if the clock got wound back, I'd still probably smack him in the mouth too. I just want to get a little bit closer. Got to land a good one. But,
nice clean shot, probably not with about 20 blokes separating you.
Yeah. And the other, man, so much things come into that. Like it was me and my coach in a venue there with 50, 60 of their support crew. Not one for me. You know, I fought on Foxtel on that platform since my 4th fight. I jumped off my platform to go get that fight done, you know. No one else is doing that. Tim Zoo's not doing that. Horny's not doing that. No one's getting off their platform to go make a fight happen. I did that because I wanted that fight. The lead up, the press conference, the punch on. On the way out, Blair got attacked, my coach, and he punched on with someone, got kicked down the stairs, you know, and then I did that fucking interview the day of my fight, 4 hours before I was getting my hands wrapped before the fight, which I didn't know at the time, you know, would come into it, and maybe it didn't, maybe it did. You know, I was crying on camera and I thought, fuck, you know, I spent with sponsors, which I don't normally do, you know, never have we done that, like say hello and greet the sponsors, but you know, they're paying some bills as well, so I've got to put my face out there. Normally I'm laying down. A lot of things come into it, man, like and again, I'm not taking away from Zerafa's performance. He did the business and he chinned me, and I'm going to wear that on the chin. It is what it is. Maybe it changed it, maybe it didn't, but yeah, man, a lot of emotion come into that fight, and I'm just glad now I can sit here and say I took it like a man, and in the moment, the heat of the moment, I took it the way I took it. I didn't know how I was going to take it, and I feel like I almost gained more respect and more fans from that outcome than maybe from winning the fight. And I've learned a lot more about myself. I feel like I'm going to become a better man for it, a better partner, hopefully one day a better father as well. You know, learning that lesson. And another thing too that sits really well with me, like, I'm relatively unknown on the world boxing scene. You know, no one knows who the fuck I am on the world boxing scene. I was positioned really well with the IBF and the WBO 8 and I think 11. I'm still keeping my IBF ranking, but I was relatively unknown. So I think it would have hurt so much more if I got all the way up to the world title shot and then tripped and fell there. Right, that would have hurt so much more. But now I've learnt the lesson. Now, relatively unknown still. Just got a little blemish on my record. I've learned that lesson. I'll be so much better for it. So the next 7 years, I'll go undefeated again. Then I'll fucking retire. So I learned that lesson now, relatively unknown still, and then I'll just blow up again.
And that's it. You know, yeah, you learn the lesson early, so you don't make the same mistake twice. And it's the record one's an interesting conversation because in boxing we care so much about zeros, but in MMA no one gives a fuck. And like there's guys that have champions that have had 6, 7 losses or whatever in MMA, and no one cares. But in boxing we seem to be so caught up in that zero. But you know, you have to face that adversity early to then overcome and do better the next time. And if you didn't face that, you might not be as skilled as the next time you face someone. And
I'm going to be so much better. So I've got another 7 years in this sport. So like I said, I'll go 7 years again undefeated, learn that lesson now.
You don't want the rematch. I know you said this in your story just after the fight. You weren't looking for the rematch. You were sort of saying you wanted to earn your spot again, which I thought was pretty commendable thing to say. And so the international boxing scene obviously popping off, and we see, you know, Kambosos, Tim Tszyu, and like you touched on, you know, it's doing wonders for the sport. They're lifting it up, and there's 2 different pathways. Obviously, Kambosos has the pathway of, you know, he's been out fighting sparring international guys like Manny Pacquiao. He's gone overseas, hasn't been seen for a while, now doing a massive fight. And then you've got Timmy Tszyu, who's obviously massive in Australia. So what do you think that what do you think the best pathway is for Australian fighters coming up with either of those?
Yeah, each to their own, man. Like when I said I fought on the Paul Gallen Hopewadi card, Tim Tszyu co-mained that, but he was relatively unknown there too. And within 3 years, he's a megastar. You know, he's however many thousands of people on Instagram. He's getting paid bank, being a pay-per-view star. So they built him up here in this country. You got a fan base. Whereas Kambosos, relatively unknown until he beat Lopez, you know, and he was on the road, you know, sparring Pacquiao in the Philippines and fighting over in Rome, and then he fought in the UK, I think, against Mickey Bay, or vice versa. He's done it all, but he was relatively unknown. You know, and he says he's done it the hard way. On the road's the hard way, but man, I think just fighting is the hard way. Doing it here is hard. Doing it there is hard. Like if someone presented me a contract to fight here in Australia 5 times on Foxtel pay-per-view, I'm going to take that. I'm going to get paid here and, you know, in the comforts of here. But if that didn't arise and, you know, I got an opportunity to go over in America and fight over in America, I'm going to take that as well. So I think whatever opportunity brings the fights and brings the money, I guess, is the right way, you know. I don't feel like there's a right or wrong way to do it. I feel like the wrong way to do it is to fight cans 15 times over.
There is a lot of that. There is a shitload of that.
There is a shitload of that. I think that is the only wrong way to do it. Fight these people that aren't up for it, up for your skills. And then you get all the way to the top and get just fucking steamrolled. I feel like that's the wrong way. And that's where you see people's worlds come crashing down because maybe they've got this false sense of security. They're better than they are. Don't know. But I think whatever way gets you the fights, gets you paid is the right way. Whether it be here in Australia, whether it be on the road, as long as you're living and enjoying the process.
How prevalent do people actually, like you're at a stage now where, you know, you've had the bit, you're well known now, like it's, you know, you've put yourself in that realm and you know, I would argue that there's guys like, you know, yourself and then, you know, Zerafa and in that realm of guys that are at the top in their weight classes that like would be getting those opportunities overseas. Are they prevalent opportunities? Like, does that like actually, does that come around? Like, or is it pretty hard to get those? Like,
I guess, man, that's a good question. I think you got to make noise and you got to ask. I asked a bloke that was following me on Instagram, when COVID was hitting, I had an injury at the time and I knew I couldn't fight it was quite a bad injury. It was a brain bleed, I will say. And I thought, fuck, my career might be over. So I thought, fuck, let's see if I can get a fight just for argument's sake. And this guy offered me a fight over on Top Rank, for 50,000 US. I thought, fuck, holy shit. If you ask, you'll get, I think. But you do got to make noise. The opportunities are there. You just got to fucking seek them out, For sure, the opportunities are there. If you don't fucking, what's that saying? Closed mouths don't get fed. They are out there. You just got to find them and be a pest if you're going to ask about, It's like Dean Lonigan. He wasn't paying me what I wanted. And I just said, mate, well, I need more money. I need fucking more money. And he ended up giving me more money. So
if you don't ask, you don't get. That's it.
Yeah, that's it, man. 100%. If you want to stay quiet and sit in the corner like a pussy, you get treated like one. So
exactly right. And, look, what is when you dream about the future, what does that hold for you, and what does that sort of look like in your eyes?
World titles, open plan kitchen for my wife, a view of the ocean, with plenty of fucking zeros on the end of my bank account, a healthy family, kids, dogs, generational wealth for our kids, my family, Blair, my coach, pay his house off, pay his gym off. Just living a good life and still punching on until I can't anymore, Professionally, I'm only going to punch on until maybe at 33, 34 and get paid for it. But, I'll always be in the gym. I would love to maybe take a young kid coming up through to the heights of the sports and become a coach one day. For sure, man. I think this sport I'll always be involved in this sport. It's done so much for me. It's built me this house that I'm sitting in now. It's provided a good life for me. It's taught me how to be a man, and hopefully it'll teach my kids how to be good people, even the people around me to be better people. So, man, I'll be in boxing for the rest of my days, I feel.
It's a very good answer. And that always comes back to, the drive, commitment, confidence and determination to want to get there. I've got a few fan questions that roll through. I always like to finish on these. So we'll sort of rapid fire them. First one, training. What's your training playlist? And then your walkout song selection. How do you go about that? What do you like?
Training playlist, G up music, like when I'm in the gym training, it's got to be G'd up, almost like angry, not too like cash and cool. When I'm warming up before a fight, like fun music, like R&B, like something that gets you dancing and moving, and walking out. The last couple of times, from my fourth fight, it's been Horses, Dale Braithwaite, only because I remember watching an MMA fight. Darren Till walked out in front of a home crowd to Sweet Carolina.
And it went off,
everyone sung that song. That's like an anthem over there, it must be. And I thought, fuck, that was so cool. I thought, what's an Australian anthem? Everyone can get around me before they even get around me is fucking Dale Braithwaite, Horses, And I went with it. And the first time I did it was in a little gym in Brisbane, and everyone sung it, and it was fucking cool. It's a cool song. And I just went with that. So we'll get back to the last two. I had 2 fights ago, I had a rapper walk me out only because he was from the area, and it was a cool opportunity to give him some clout and some limelight. And I always wanted to do that as well. And then the last time was a bit of a version of like the Purge and the Horses, which still sort of rung through to my Horses tradition, but I'm going back just Horses from now on.
I didn't mind the little DJ mashup. There was a bit of Still Drain there at one point,
that's my coach. He's a DJ, so he mashed that up for me. He did that, which it was cool. It was a shame that was the coolest thing of the night, and I got chin.
It happens.
happens.
Kambosos or Devin Haney, who do you think wins that, and how does the fight play out? Without
Kambosos,
the bias of Australia, what's your answer?
Yeah, I think Kambosos smashes him to pieces. I feel like the last couple of fights, Devin Haney, they give him these big raps, but I don't know. He hasn't looked the flashiest against, Linares. He didn't look too good. His last fight, was it Gamboa? Did he fight last time?
Haney?
Haney. He fought Linares, and he was asking Linares after, "How's my power?" So I don't even feel like he's confident in his ability. Like, if I had to fight someone and ask him after, "How is my power?" I'm like, "Fuck." I'm questioning myself. I've got to ask my opponent how my power is. And then he fought someone else, and I don't reckon he's as good as fucking thinks he is. I don't know. And Cambos is I feel like, biased aside of being Australian, he just feels like he's on a fucking mission.
I totally agree. He's a savage.
Just a man possessed, and like you can see that. I don't know. I think Cambos is just fucking it eats him up and spits him out.
I'm looking forward to that one. I will be there and I'll be going off.
Unreal.
Who has hit the hardest? Who have you found that's been the hardest puncher? You've gone, fuck, he absolutely rips a good punch. That's a bit in that.
Without a doubt, there's this fucking kid named Jack Gipp, mate. He can hit. That can't hold.
He fought before you. He fought before. I remember that.
He fought. Yeah, like that was no doing of his or his team. That opponent he got, he had like. Because I really like that team, Marcos, Jason Waitley, Jack Gipp. They're really good guys. They're much like me and my coach, Blair, and we get along with him. I did a lot of 40 rounds with Jack Gipp. And Waitley's much like myself, doesn't fuck around. Jack Gipp can punch. He puts every bit of fucking weight into every shot. Like, he can hit that kid far out. And he's got a big future ahead. And he's one of the guys, like, that'll probably have to get these cans because no one will put their record on the line to fight him. I feel like he's the type of guy, and Marcos as well. They want the good fights for sure. They're not fucking wanting to pad the record. He wants the good fights, but these guys like Jack Bowen or Mateo Tapia, the ones in the super middleweight division, Rowan Murdochs and Mitchells, they won't fucking put their balls on the line to fight a kid that's only 4-0, who can fucking punch. I'm telling you now. So he's in a bit of a limbo position. I feel like I think he'll get a few cans because the good guys just won't fight him. I don't reckon so, which is unfortunate. But Jack Gibb can punch.
That's a bit of a feather in your cap anyway. If they don't want to fight you, you're obviously pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've answered this one, but really briefly, we'll go over it one more time. Preparation, obviously, this was a big question that came up a lot. Yeah. Preparation going into Zerafa fight with all the emotions going back and forth. Does it waver your training at all, or are you just fucking dialed in?
Doesn't waver my training, no way. Wavered the fight, but yeah, man, my training is 10 weeks, 2 sparrings a week, 4 sprinting sessions, 2 strength and conditions a week, 2 recovery sessions a week, 1 heat acclimation session a week, and a rest on Sunday. So that's my training skeleton, essentially.
Isaac, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate you coming on. And it's all, I love talking to fighters. But that's because I'm into it myself, and there's nothing more inspiring than watching a bloke having a crack and building his way up into something special. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's to come of the future, and no doubt big things, mate.
Yeah, I love to finish with an inside scoop. July 2nd.
There we go, July 2nd. It's all happening here, ladies and gentlemen, guys. This is 5 o'clock somewhere with Taylor Stone. Remember, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow the show. Make sure you like it, share it, subscribe it. Tell your mum, tell your dog, tell whoever you want, but make sure they listen. Tag me in it as well, and I'll give you a shout out on social media, guys. Thank you very much. This is episode 15 with Issac Hardman, the Headsplitter. We'll see you soon.